Hello there, ladies and gentlemen! Welcome to an episode of Warframe Digest, episode 55. Today we'll be going over Devstream 73. Wasn't last week 73? No, last week was PAX EAST apparently. This is 73, hello! And its relevant topics. Well, let's start this off rather quickly, because there was actually a bunch of very interesting things. A lot of them went into a lot of detail, and I won't be going over so much detail. So, what did they go over? Well, as of yesterday, as of Friday, update 18.10, there have been some PBR upgrades done to a couple Warframes. Ember Prime, Excalibur Prime, Nyx Prime, and Rhino Prime have been given the PBR upgrade. Some of you people may hail this with glory, some of you people may not. I'm kind of a mixed bag depending on which Warframe it is. It's nice to see some of the Warframes getting a PBR update that they have well long deserved. A lot of them had very flat coloring and a lot of flat detail. That PBR gives them a lot more quality, something that they've needed since these are some of the older Warframes that have been left out of the loop. And talking about being left out of the loop, they talked about Lunaro, or Lunaro. Lunaro, yes, Lunaro. And they didn't show anything off. There was a tease on Twitter done by Steve on his main official private Twitter account, or personal public account, whatever. And they did announce that Lunaro will be coming out in update 19, so relatively soon. So we'll still no AT on update 19, but I give it the next 2 months, maybe, hopefully, optimistically. And what else? The big and bulky part of this, the bourbon list. They came up with a bunch of little jokes as to why they call it the bourbon list, because after you look at this, you need a cup of bourbon. Or a glass of bourbon, whatever your preference is. And you can see that they are kind of put in code, 1 through 10. I will be going down in some small details on what these are. The first one is fixing map flow and game directioning. Currently the map is being redesigned into the new star chart. They had a lot of flowing issues with gameplay, a lot of disorientation for new players, and they are going to retroactively fix that by retroactively going back to the old webbing system for the star map and fixing a lot of flowing and a lot of kind of just confusion issue for the game's direction for new players and some older players alike. And number 2 is the one-hit bosses. Currently it is a known issue that some bosses can be one-shotted and it just completely makes the game very trivial. And it makes it into just a waiting game where you just kind of go and do it over and over and over and just wait because there's nothing else really to do. Just send one person and then you're done. And they are trying to find different ways of fixing it. Nothing was given as details. Number 3 is the Void fatigue. Void has been very well burnt out. A lot of players are slowly not going there. They're actually buying frames from Plat, and it's just no longer fun for a lot of veterans, myself included. And they are going to be pulling some of those items out of the Void and throwing them out into the regular map, and actually diversifying the Void overall. That was the destruction of the Void and the expansion to the Void that they've been talking about with the new upcoming star chart. Number 4 is refreshing the environments. Currently the environments have a lot of dull and bland game mechanics, and we have been seeing some of this kind of go under the drawing board. And it is very interesting to go back and refresh some of the older missions that have just become so trivial and completely just forgotten. Number 5, Draco. There is a massive underlying problem with Draco, and the underlying problem comes to forming to the overall ranking or the re-ranking or just the general scaling of weapons. And they are right now experimenting with the idea that there will be some sort of benefit to mastery. The higher your mastery is, the higher your base rank of a weapon would be. So let's say there's a brand new weapon that comes out tomorrow. I am mastery 21. Upon building this weapon, it will be automatically mastery or rank 21. It will equate mastery to rank. So no matter what, the weapon will start at a default level according to your mastery level, and this will be very interesting because there's a lot less of a grind and more of an instant go play with these weapons. And they are going to nerf slightly the passive experience gain for weapons that you are not using, kind of demotivating people from just passively upgrading it. And to also reward this, they will be doing that Forma will have a limiter. So the Forma will not be limited itself, but it will limit the overall levels drained. Instead of going from 30 to 0, it'll go 30 to Mastery. So again, from 30 to Mastery 21 would be from 30 to rank 21, so I only have to upgrade 9 levels. Thus being a lot more rewarding for veteran players that want to just churn out upgrades on these weapons. Number 6 is the reward for long-term play and ship invitations. They want to reward players that have been here for 3 years compared to players that have just started, and they will allow you to invite your friends onto your ship. A perfect example of this would be when you invite a friend onto your ship that just started and you've been playing since the first day. There's nothing that sets your ship apart from his. So they want to award players that have been playing constantly over time, that have a lot of credits just sitting there to do some sort of upgrades, some sort of overhauls or reworks or rebalances to their ships and their orbiter compartments to give it that much more of a individual sense and feel from those new players that are just starting the game. Number 7 is that events are making a return in some form or manner. A perfect example of this is Wrathum. Wrathum is the first of many events to come and making a glorious return to kind of diversify and give the game some more life. So expect more events to be coming down the line. They are a lot right now under the works, and we're starting to see what this new event trail is and what the rewards are being. Number 8 is Conclave diversity and slowing down of. And by that is that they want to diversify the gameplay mechanics of Conclave. And by doing so, they will diversify it with Lunaro. And the slowing down is to kind of slow down the pacing. The slowing down of the pacing is in reference to PvP being so spastic, gun-ho, and just everywhere in your face, to something more casual and just very easy to play and passively play like Lunaro, which is going to be more of just a regular little sport. And they also are thinking and testing the idea of doing PvP server out-hosting or outsourcing, where they will allow community people to actually host and provide servers for PvP for other players to play, so that way it doesn't completely kill the system or their servers, and they have a lot more reliability, stability according to different regions and zones, and they are thinking about finding different ways to reward players that have very active and very stable servers. So we'll see about that. And number 9 is the sentient factions. They have been teased a while back, as far as we can say, what was it, Tomb of the Sentients? Yes, maybe earlier than that. And they've been nowhere in sight. We have some teases about them in the second Dream. They are in the moon, but they still lack introduction. So they have to push out the new sentients to be part of the game, give them a lot more scalability, give them a lot more detail, rewards for fighting them, and actual location. And their introduction will be gradually introduced in with the new star chart, with a lot more enemy diversity and weapon diversity coming from that faction for us to use as players and as a community. And number 10 is the big one. The dojos. The dojos have been abandoned for so long. They are going to be putting some attention and TLC for the dojos. They have been nigh abandoned near their entirety, and we need something to provide a lot more of a meta for larger clans and larger grouping of friends. So we'll see what happens, and that is pretty much everything for the bourbon list. And then we have smaller and a lot quicker things. Currently, you can see right here, they are talking about making a second series to the Gunblade, Gunblade 2. It is on the table right now. They have an ETA of somewhere in summer, along with the new melee weapon being a new dual dagger with its own dual dagger stance. And that will be the size. The size will make you feel like a TMNT, and they look really badass. And talking about what looks pretty, well, not necessarily badass, but very adorable, is the Kavats. You can see here, sped up a little, or drastically, the Kavats kitten animation. This is a baby Kavat. This is a kitten, and the kitten is just idling and sleeping, and it is very lively. It is one of the most detailed animal animations I've seen in a video game for a pretty long time, and this will be just an example of what Kavats will be doing when they're idling around on the ship and roaming about, most likely. And another drastic thing they talked about that they did not show was a drastic overhaul to the market completely. Prices are being revised, categories, taggings, locations are being revised completely. The overhaul is going to get expanded upon so much, and this all came from the initial idea of having a hide owned items button, where you can hide items you've already purchased, and you can see the things you need to buy and things that you still have not bought or plan to buy or plan to make. And it's massive. No idea when this is happening, no idea how drastically these things are happening, but they're gonna happen, and the market being revised has been a long time coming. Another thing that's a long time coming is Archwing expansion and detail. They are going to be adding more game modes. So examples of this are Archwing Racing and Archwing Chase. Archwing Racing will allow you to race other players, I'm assuming, and the Archwing Chase will be a search and destroy thing where you will have to chase down a target that's fleeing you in Archwing and then destroy it before it makes it to its exit point. And they are also thinking and reworking already the flight mechanics for Archwing entirely, so there will be a lot more inertia, there will be a lot more drifting, a lot more friction, or just completely make it a lot more sciencey and science-friendly and just drastically different, which will revitalize the whole entire gameplay mechanics for Archwing. And talking about gameplay mechanics being revitalized, we have Volt. Volt is receiving a nice, beautiful little rework, and the most noteworthy thing is that Volt's shield will now be able to be picked up, as you can see here, and turned into a riot shield. It will be shrunk, it will be made a little taller, so it will be vertically longer instead of width, and it will cover everything in front of you. Regrettably, when you pick up the shield, it will take space of an arm, and you will be thrown into your pistol, so you will not be able to use your rifle, but that's a balance issue that they are addressing. Because in honesty, if you can use a rifle while moving around in a permanent shield, that's kind of strong and overpowering. So you're going to need to bunker that down in order to use your rifle. And they also are talking about environmental effects returning. Remember the environmental refreshing? Well, this is an example of it. When you start a mission that has chaotic ice seeping into the environment, or just a reactor malfunction, fire everywhere, these damage effects will do damage over time, and they will be persistent and will be rotated out of the star map when it's reintroduced, so you know what to build for. If you see that there's extreme fire in this tile or in this node, go put on that worm coat. If not, then you're gonna have to put on that ice mod, I forget what it is. See how little we use them? So we actually use them a little bit more and make some build diversity, so we're a little bit more tolerant to fire damage, to ice damage, and so on and so forth from the environments itself. It will be doing damage to players and enemies alike, thus giving it another layer of detail and a lot more sporadic and randomness. And talking about sporadic and randomness, there is the next batch of Tennogen items. Not necessarily so sporadic and random, as though they are made at random and they're voted due to popularity and so on and so forth. And you can see here the Tennogen items are as follows. The Alta Mag skin, which looks very interesting and very well detailed. The Deadeye Mesa helmet, which is pretty bizarre and pretty interesting overall. The Device Nova skin, and this looks very beautiful. There is a lot of Frost and Nova on this. It's nearly all Frost and Nova. As you can see here, the damaged Frost skin by Volgnik, and it looks ridiculous. I want to see a damaged skin series for every single Warframe. I will buy that on the spot. Then we have the next is the Zestruga Frost helmet, followed by the Grenier Nova, then followed by a Grenier Frost, and these are the most drastic differences for all the Warframes. They're no longer comparable to their base versions. And then we have the Hailstorm Frost, followed by the Winged Nova helmet, the Stinger Nova, and the Visage Nova, followed by the Setka Sindana, and the Summit Frost helmet. And that's all for Tennogen. This is round 3 of Tennogen. It is beautiful. It has been well done. I know that Visage Nova is very controversial. Some people on my stream have heard me go against it, but they are folding due to its popularity, but they are going to be a lot more strict on the next ones. So they've made it very public and very verbal that they need to fit in with the theme a little bit more, and so on and so forth. And that pretty much does it for Devstream 55, covering Devstream 73. So, tell me what you guys are excited for in the comment section down below. Personally, I'm excited for the new star chart and some new melee weapons. What items on the Bourbon list concern you? Are you excited for Lunaro? Are you loving these little Capro kitten animations? And are you excited for the store overhaul and Vault rework? So, until next time, Tenno, take it easy, have fun, and see you guys in game.